Believe it or not, PS6 and next-gen Xbox rumors have been heating up lately, and I guess I can't be totally surprised. I'm pretty sure by this point in the PS4's lifespan, more substantive PS5 rumors began to emerge more often. But it just feels so weird that we're already at this point, not just because of the passage of time, and holy shit, did these near 5 years fly by. I mean, the previous console generation felt like it flew the fuck by as well, but also nearly 5 goddamn years into these consoles' lifespans, we barely got to see their full capabilities. Now, I can't really speak for the Series X because I don't own one, I've never owned an Xbox, but I do own a PS5. This April will mark 4 years since I got my PS5, so I've owned one since nearly the beginning of the PS5's lifespan, and there are only 2 games these last 4 years that immediately come to my mind when it comes to wowing me. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Spider-Man 2, coincidentally both Insomniac games, so congratulations Insomniac, I suppose. Perhaps there are other very impressive games that have come out this generation, but out of the ones I have played, it's really just those 2 that come to my mind immediately. And I've seen many PlayStation players and Xbox players express the same sentiment. It feels like this console generation just barely got off the ground, nearly half a decade in, and now we're beginning the rumor mill for entirely new consoles. To add salt to the wound, we just got the PS5 Pro, which I maintain is not really that fucking necessary. We barely got any games that pushed the limits of the base PS5. I doubt many people were clamoring for a mid-gen upgrade based on the very sour response the Pro got when it was announced. The PS5 Pro is a band-aid for a problem that doesn't really exist. Yes, you can now play games at a higher resolution and frame rate, yippee, but is that really worth shelling out $700 for? I've seen quite a few people online say this. We have a games problem and not a hardware problem. We already had 2 perfectly capable consoles that just barely had anything new released for them. What has been the bulk of the PS5's exclusives? Remasters, remakes, some sequels. Oh, we got a new IP, Intergalactic, coming, which is probably still at least 2 years away. The problem is, the more demanding and ambitious games get, the longer they take to release. We're kinda past the days of seeing great AAA games release almost consecutively because now many studios take seemingly an entire fucking console generation to develop one game. Oh, but you're just impatient and ungrateful? Shut up. I'm not saying these studios need to churn out high-quality AAA releases every year or some shit. Honestly, I wouldn't mind this console generation being longer than your average console generation. Instead of 7 to 8 years, maybe 10 to 11 years instead. Because realistically, how much more powerful is a PS6 going to be over a PS5, or even a PS5 Pro? The days of seeing huge leaps between console generations are long gone. Like, compare Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation to the GameCube remake. That is an insane difference for just one console generation. But now we are 5 years into the PS5's lifespan, and we are still seeing games be released also for the PS4. Now, thankfully, we're not seeing as many games released for previous gen hardware anymore, at least when it comes to major AAA releases. But the overlap between the PS4 and the PS5 was insane, and was honestly an anchor around the base PS5, because many games still had to accommodate for old hardware, which hindered the opportunity for many games to take full advantage of the base PS5's hardware capabilities, and that's why I, along with many other people, were less than thrilled when a PS5 Pro was announced. I've been hearing rumblings about this new Xbox that is supposedly going to be a home console and PC hybrid. I don't know how exactly that is going to work, and honestly, I don't really care. I don't care not just because I'm not an Xbox owner, but also because this has been such a nothing burger console generation that I just can't get excited for the next. I guess I should express condolences to those who bought a Series X at or around launch, thinking they were going to get the full 7 or 8 years out of the console, only for rumors to now say Microsoft may be releasing this next Xbox as early as next year. We may be at the precipice of the death of traditional console generations. Nintendo has been on the sidelines for years, doing their own thing since the Wii. They released the OG Switch in 2017, right in the middle of the PS4 and Xbox One's lifespans. Now the Switch 2 is going to release in the middle of the PS5's lifespan, and theoretically in the middle of the Series X's lifespan. But now we may also have Microsoft breaking away from the traditional console generation format, whatever you wish to call it. Possibly leaving Sony to be the last one ones adhering to said format, but who knows what the future holds. But one thing I know for certain is this console generation has been immensely disappointing, and never really felt like it got off the ground. I mean, I suppose I have it a little better than a lot of other players. I didn't own a PS4, so I had a whole generation of games to catch up on and enjoy, and that's kept me busy for a lot of this console generation. But for those who did own a PS4 and were coming off the heels of such a fruitful console generation, and thought that this console generation was going to be just as, if not even more fruitful than the last, because hey, more powerful hardware means more possibilities, right? I totally understand your frustration. And to an extent, I share your frustration because I thought I would have both an extensive library of PS4 games to enjoy and a fruitful library of PS5 games to enjoy, but instead this console generation has been filled with cross-gen releases holding current-gen hardware back, too many ports, remasters, remakes, and not enough titles that are actually new, and overall this looming feeling of, again, feeling like this console generation has never gotten off the ground, but now we are faced with new Xbox and PS6 rumors. The current state of gaming sure is great, isn't it? At least when it comes to mainstream gaming. Anyway, in before imagine not playing on PC comments. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.